Tulsi Gabbard, current director of national intelligence, right? What do we have here? What do we have here? So, I believe there was a recent testimony that seemingly was, I guess, clipped out of context here in terms of what Tulsi Gabbard is saying here. So, no, what do we got here? The dishonest media is intentionally taking my testimony out of context and spreading fake news as a way to manufacture division. Wait, hold on. Manufacture division, you say? Okay. No, we have to have unity in terms of declaring war on Iran on behalf of Israel. Fuck. America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months. Wait. I thought in the clip you said itself that Iran was weeks off of being able to produce a nuclear weapon. And didn't the IAEA head Rafael Grossi also say that the Iranians are like nowhere near close to a fucking goddamn nuclear weapon? I know there was a Democracy Now! Headline saying about that. Iran close to producing a nuke. Well, there's an Al Jazeera headline. Updates on developments in Iran from the IAEA itself. Let's see. Military attacks. He also stated the IAEA has consistently underlined that armed attacks on nuclear facilities are bad. True, I agree. Ready to respond to any nuclear radiological emergency. What about nuclear weapon? Military escalation threatens lives, increases the chance of radiological release with serious consequences for people and the environment, and delays indispensable work towards diplomatic solution for a long-term assurance that Iran doesn't acquire a nuclear weapon. We got nothing in terms of how close Iran is to a fucking goddamn nuclear weapon. The Natanz fuel enrichment plant site was targeted in attacks on June 13th that destroyed the above-ground part of the pilot fuel enrichment plant, one of the facilities at which Iran was producing uranium enriched up to 60% U-235. Limited to the facility, no impact. Man, all these damn fucking media outlets with they pop-ups. Their construction was hit on June 19th. No radiological consequence from Grossi himself. No damage. A lot of nuclear material in Iran. Darn, was Democracy Now! Lying to me? I'm curious. I've been lied to. Curses. Statement to the UNSC. The IAEA can guarantee through a watertight inspection system that nuclear weapons will not be developed in Iran. Will not be developed. What about this? Was Iran months away from producing a nuclear bomb? Iran has struck, or Israel struck several nuclear facilities. He warned, could be a year, could be within a few months. Of course, the same claim that Netanyahu has been saying for the past, fucking 30 years at this point. Silly. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi. Yeah, he's been saying the same fucking shit for 30 years. Oh, they're weeks away. Oh, they're months away. Oh, they're years away. Oh, they're years away. Oh, they're months away. Oh, they're weeks away. Oh, they're days away. It's nonsense. Like, he's full of shit. He wants to manufacture consent for a war against Iran because, again, what's Netanyahu's sort of modus operandi here? Well, there was a recent vote in the Knesset that barely passed by 2 votes, and if that vote did not pass, guess what would have happened? The Knesset would have collapsed and there would have been elections. Netanyahu is currently very, very unpopular for how he's been treating the current situation with the Palestinians in Gaza in terms of how he's been treating the hostages, because he just keeps bombing the fuck out of them, and everyone in Israel is pissed about that. So if his ass gets out of office, which if there is an election more than likely will happen, his dumb ass is going to go to jail because he's got corruption charges swirling around him. There was during During the actual, I think it was during the elections itself. Yeah, yeah. It's not about how much the Israelis care about Palestinians. Although, if wasn't there like, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there like also a march of Israelis talking about Palestinian children? Like, most Israelis, I would say, do not care about the Palestinians, but it's not. I wouldn't classify that as all of them. There's probably a subset of Israelis that maybe do care about Palestinians, but yeah, that's tangential. 10% of the population. There we go. Sure. Just so we're accurate, right? Of course. Listen, wouldn't want any out of context Doritos, okay? Make sure we're covering our bases here. What? So we all know why Netanyahu's doing the thing that he's doing. During the most recent election where he was being elected, there were trials going on for his corruption charges because he's an incredibly corrupt politician. He's a far-right politician, which means he is corrupt. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. The same shit, yada, yada. We all know this. And also, he wants to keep the war cabinet going on for as long as possible, preferably probably until he dies in office, so then he doesn't go to jail. If I were to take a guess, that's probably the reason why he wants to keep the war cabinet going on for as long as possible. Cross the new red line by attacking nuclear sites. Is there evidence that Iran had a nuclear weapons program? So from what I understand, they did in 2003. However, based off of what the Iranians have said themselves, they stopped the nuclear weapons program in 2003. So that would have been about, 22 years ago? Yeah, about 22 years ago. So that's really cool. Yeah, well, Benjamin Netanyahu will never suffer the blood of the people that he's going to, sacrifice for World War III. Whatever. He's a demon. We all know this. Netanyahu said Israel struck the heart of the weaponization program when it targeted Natanz. Nuclear scientists who killed were working on an Iranian bomb. Sure, of course. The military said it accumulated in recent months intelligence showing that concrete progress had been made in the Iranian regime's efforts to produce new weapons components adapted for a nuclear bomb, including a uranium metal core and a neutron source initiator for triggering the nuclear explosion. Evidence, me. However, Kelsey Davenport, director for the non-proliferation policy at the U.S.-based Arms Control Association, told the BBC on Friday that Israel's prime minister did not present any clear or compelling evidence that Iran was on the brink of weaponizing. I'm shocked. It's bad if it's a U.S.-based company that's a non-profit that's saying this. Yeah. Or non-proliferation policy. Whatever. It's a U.S. official that's fucking saying this, so you know that Netanyahu is probably full of shit. Iran has been at a near-zero breakout for months, she told the BBC, referring to the time it would take Iran to acquire enough fissile material for one bomb if it chose to do so. Again, that was one of the claims that Netanyahu was also constantly yammering out about, saying, they have enough material in order to make a bomb. Apparently they don't have enough material now. Which is it? Who's the more trustworthy source? Probably this individual, because I don't Netanyahu lies about it as much as he breathes. So yeah, I don't believe anything. This man has been lying about Iran having a nuclear bomb for the past 30 years, or at least being close to producing a fucking bomb. It's silly. It's nonsense. Similarly, the assessment that Iran could develop a crude nuclear weapon within a few months is not new. She said some of Iran's nuclear activities would be applicable to developing a bomb, but U.S. intelligence agencies had assessed that Iran was not engaged in key weaponization work. This March, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard told Congress that Iran's stockpile the rich of uranium was an unprecedented level for a state without nuclear weapons. So that's going to be the whole shebang, shabong, probably with the most recent thing. So as far as we can tell, the answer is no. Why? Because they haven't had a nuclear weaponization program for 22 years. They stopped it in 2003. So that's pretty cool. But what do we got here? Tulsi. What happened? Well, what's going on? Everyone in the intelligence agencies and other like non-proliferation policy heads are saying that it's not happening. Now you want to like manufacture consent for the war? Well, what's going on here? America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months. If they decide to finalize the assembly, President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree. My full testimony below. But people are saying, like, that's a contradictory statement based off of what this individual is saying. And that Netanyahu has like presented no evidence. Now who's telling the truth here? Are we going to really know? Meh. My assumption is the people who are probably trying to manufacture consent for a war are more than likely the liars. Like, literally, this is this exact same fucking bullshit that was used to justify Iraq. Dude, it's literally, like, hello? 2003 is calling. They would like to have their attempt at manufacturing consent to come back to them. Like, are we fucking real? It's like, oh yeah, Ali Khamenei has a nuclear weapon. Totally. Just like, Saddam Hussein also has a nuclear weapon. When are we gonna get the, like, Colin Powell fucking little vial with the stupid fucking, I don't know, random powder in it? Is that what we're gonna do? Is that the next fucking meme? It's fucking silly. It's stupid. It's really fucking stupid. All right, what do you got for me?
Iran continues to seek expansion of its influence in the Middle East, despite the degradation to its proxies and defenses during the Gaza conflict. Iran has developed and maintains ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and UAVs, including systems capable of striking U.S. targets and allies in the region. Tehran has shown a willingness to use these weapons, including during a 2020 attack on U.S. forces in Iraq and in attacks against Israel in April and October.
Wait, time out. Why did Iran do those attacks exactly? Was it a particular assassination attempt on a particular IRGC commander that might have prompted those attacks on those U.S. sites? I wonder why how could the Iranians do this? It couldn't be a particular guy named Qasem Soleimani that just got randomly assassinated by the U.S. Or like the Israelis decided to attack IRGC commanders in an embassy in Damascus. Couldn't be anything in particular, obviously.
2024. Iran's cyber operations and capabilities also present a serious threat to U.S. networks and data.
Sure, man.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
Okay, so that's where the clip gets cut off. We got 58 more seconds. All right. What do you have to say, Tulsi?
The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus.
Okay, I can probably think of some reasons why that might be the case, because again, given the belligerence of Israel in the region, along with, the assassination on Qasem Soleimani and the other IRGC commanders that also got killed by Israel, I wonder why there are, like, more advocates for a nuclear weapon within Iran. I couldn't really think of anything, but so far, like, Tulsi, you just said the line where the nuclear weapons program was stopped in 2003 in Iran, based off of what Ali Khamenei has said, okay? The Supreme Ayatollah of Iran. Okay. That is accurate. Okay, good. And so far we're complaining about people advocating for getting a nuclear weapon. That doesn't mean they're starting to make a nuclear weapon. The IAEA claimed they have a lot of 60% enriched uranium. Okay, that's not enough for a nuclear weapon. Okay, sure. But still, like, that doesn't mean they have it. They have a bunch more heavily enriched material. Sure. Not enough for a bomb. Not for the capabilities of building a bomb. So they still don't have one. They still could be months away. Who knows how long until they have to. I don't know how fucking long it takes to enrich uranium to 90% necessary enrichment. Okay, I only play Factorio, and Factorio basically says like you get the super shiny green rock used to make nukes like 0.007% of the time. Otherwise, it's the stinky other green rock that doesn't do anything except become fuel for nuclear power plants. So, like, do they have the weapon? Do they not have the weapon? How far away are they from the weapon? I don't know.
Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons.
Sure.
Iran will likely continue efforts to counter Israel and press for U.S. military withdrawal from the region by aiding, arming, and helping to reconstitute its loose consortium of like-minded terrorist and militant actors, which it refers to as its axis of resistance. Although weakened, this collection of actors still presents a wide range of threats, including to Israel's population, U.S. forces deployed in Iraq and Syria, and to U.S. and international military and commercial shipping and transit.
Yeah, there's nothing here. Okay, so nothing burger. Anything else? Nothing? This is a pretty good image. I agree with this image. So, nothing? Nothing. This is a nothing burger. There's nothing here. Great, fantastic. So all she said, which was apparently the thing that was taken out of context, was that the Iranians have stopped their nuclear weapons program in 2003 based off of what Ali Khamenei said, who is the supreme Ayatollah of Iran, one of the main head of states within Iran. Okay, cool, great, fantastic, excellent, very good. And that, oh no, Iran is still a threat to U.S. forces in the. That's it. And then she like went on her like standard little fucking I don't like terrorists spiel. They don't have a nuclear weapon. I thought, Tulsi, I thought they were weeks away from getting a nuke. What happened? What happened? Why didn't you say anything about that? You presented no evidence, nothing. So like how am I supposed to operate here then? Like, are you just manufacturing consent? I have bad news. I think she's just manufacturing consent, ladies and gentlemen, and those in between. I think it's pretty safe to say that this image is a pretty good fucking encapsulation for us to what's going on here. So, hey, what? Whoa, hey, fucking like Dimmy Dorites, okay? I'm jingling the fucking keys here. Pay attention. What happened to Tulsi being anti-war? She's quite literally manufacturing consent for war with Iran. I wonder why she's doing that. Why is she doing that? I don't know. It's almost as if she's always been fucking pro-war, and it was a complete sort of grifting little charlatan bit. A little song and dance that she was doing in order to ingratiate herself with a bunch of dumb fucking lefties online. Lefties online, like Jimmy Dore acolytes and his little fucking gremlins or whatever. It's fucking silly. It's ridiculous. Whoa, Tulsi Gabbard now is manufacturing consent for the military-industrial complex to potentially do an invasion of Iran at the behest of Israel. Man, so much for my heckin' wholesome Epicurino pro-peace, anti-war Republican coalition of, I don't know, conspiracy theorists and morons. So, who would have thought that this could be possible? That Tulsi Gabbard's full of shit. So, you know, that's cool. That's great. Very, very good. Fantastic. Oh yeah, you know, it's gonna be it's like, listen, I don't know if the draft is gonna be reinstituted. You know, if the hypothetical fucking war for some reason fucking happens. I don't know, like, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't really fucking know if it's gonna fucking happen. Like, all I know is that young people they're not going to go along with this. they know. Like, people are not stupid. They've all seen the clips online of, like, Colin Powell lying to the UN with the fissile, like, little powder, whatever the fuck he had. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna fucking happen. Like, we know that in what Donald Trump has said that in about 2 weeks he's gonna make a determination on if the U.S. is going to join the Israelis in attacking Iran. Like, if they're gonna jump into the war, and it's just like, really? 2 weeks. I guess it's to try to, I don't know, give a chance at negotiation, give peace a chance kind of a deal, to try to appease that part of the MAGA coalition that does not want to go into Iran. Because there is a bunch of them that genuinely do not want to go in, saying, like, we've seen Iraq. It was a disaster. Let's not do that again. This is a very stupid fucking idea. And it's like, nah, like, it's not gonna fucking happen. Like, personally, I don't see it. Like, I don't think it's gonna work out. I think, like, here's what, okay, if we could think about, like, potential hypothetical scenarios of what could possibly happen. 2 weeks comes, let's say no deal is worked out at all whatsoever, like, nothing fucking happens. I think Trump is going to come up with, like, an excuse to back out, because he'll probably see how actively, like, unpopular the decision is to go into war with Iran. And he's going to come up with some excuse to back out, probably. And then, like, you'll have, like, Chuck Schumer saying, like, I got back from the Baileys, and Taco Trump is now chickening out of war with Iran. And it's just like, thank you, Chuck Schumer. Very cool. Fantastic. The deal gets put in place, some kind of a deal. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Who gives a shit about, like, the construction of the deal? There's a deal that gets put in place, and the war is avoided. Great, fantastic, very good. And the absolute worst case scenario is that Trump just goes in with the Israelis and, I don't know, starts doing, like, air raids from Diego Garcia or something, right? If we want to think about some potential hypothetical scenarios. This is very simple, very, like, very, very, very simple analysis, base kind of stuff, like, potential scenarios that could happen. Because we know why Trump is probably said this sort of, like, 2-week deadline, quote unquote. It's because he knows that this is an active, like, very unpopular decision with his base. And he, broadly speaking, he knows that if he were to go in at the behest of Israel, his, like, the amount that he's already cooked by, fucking slap a 10 times multiplier on that, and he'll be super fucking cooked. Like, hyper omega super cooked. Like, I would be, like, surprised if even with, like, the current makeup of Congress, he'll be able to pass anything whatsoever, or be able to do anything at all. So, like, that's why I just think, like, I don't think the war is going to happen, even after, like, 2 weeks. I don't know, like, you can quibble about, like, if a deal gets reached. Okay, sure, we can quibble about that. But personally, I think he's probably gonna, and I think this is what's gonna happen. Probably some deals not going to be reached, because I don't see, like, every deal that Trump has tried to formulate and go for has been non-existent / a disaster. So personally, I don't think, like, he's been, like, what, 0 for 2 or 0 for 3 on Russia-Ukraine. He's been 0 for 6 because he's done at least 6 rounds of talks with the Iranians. 0 for 6 on making a deal with the Iranians, which is why the Israelis ended up going in with his fucking approval and, you know, the United States' consent and everything. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think a deal is not going to happen, and he's going to come up with some fucking excuse in order to just be like, actually, you know, we got something from the Iranians, and it's actually really good. Super Puggers and excellent. Let me tell you, folks, it's really, really good. It's fantastic. It's really great. Excellent. And he's going to come up with some excuses to not go in. That's what I think is going to happen. So, out of the 3 scenarios, I think I guess that's like the sort of middle of the road one, because if the best case scenario, the U.S. does actually reach a deal, quibbling about like what's in the details of the deal, that's a completely different story. Blah 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 blah. Who gives a shit really about that? The sort of best case scenario is a deal is reached and nothing and it goes back to nothing ever happens, bros. That's probably the best thing that can happen. The thing that I think is most likely is going to be the kind of middle of the road option, where more than likely what's going to happen is a deal isn't going to be reached, but Trump's going to come up with some excuse to not go in because he understands probably the political consequences of going in, but the Israelis probably still continue the attacks on Iran. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Just based off of the sort of like quote-unquote deal-making acumen that the president currently has, which has been like basically non-existent. That's what I think is probably going to happen, I think.